Greetings, I'm Dr. Something's been bothering me recently. One of the YouTubers whose videos I like to watch is a YouTuber called Comic Book Girl 19. Now CBG 19 is a fount of knowledge about comic books. In her most recent video, she was recounting her experiences at Comic-Con. A fan came up to her and inquired upon her, "Do you really read comic books?" Anyone who's ever seen Comic Book Girl 19 or anything that Comic Book Girl 19 has done knows that Comic Book Girl is a fan of comic books and other forms of nerdy media. I mean, there's no question about it. This fan persisted. "Do you really read comic books?" Comic Book Girl 19 was rightfully offended by this. Dude, if you think I'm faking this, then you are giving me way too much credit as an actor. To prove the point, in the video she brought up some media regarding some content that she has no knowledge of or no love for. And the very first thing she looked at, I recognized immediately, because I love it. The uniquely identifiable tones of Brent Musburger's voice said, "You are watching live at Sun Life Stadium." It didn't even take me to "you are watching" to know exactly what video she was about to watch. I love college football. I'm passionate about college football. I didn't grow up a Crimson Tide fan, but when I went to the University of Alabama, I became one. I lived through the decades of the 2000s when Alabama's football team was perhaps the worst it's ever been. And I'm living and being a fan through these last several years where the University of Alabama's football team is perhaps the best it's ever been. And when this era of Alabama football is over, I will continue to be a fan of the University of Alabama's football team regardless of whatever may come. To me, dedication defines fandom. I'm going to be in Atlanta on Saturday, August 31st. Can you guess why? What bothers me is that everyone in the nerd community seems to buy into this false dichotomy. The notion that there are nerds and there are people who like sports. Sometimes it seems like the Venn diagram of the people who are nerds and who like sports, the intersection of those two circles contains just me. And there's this arbitrary line that we draw which says that people who do normal things and who enjoy normal pastimes are normal, and people who enjoy geeky things and who do geeky things are geeky. I think we need to get something straight. In case you hadn't guessed it, I'm a geek. My father, much to his credit, taught me and my brother to love all things science fiction. My father was a fan of the original Star Trek in the 60s, and in 1987, when The Next Generation came on the air for the first time, we watched not only the pilot episode, but every episode thereafter for the entire run of the series. Looking back, I don't think my father enjoyed the first season of Star Trek The Next Generation, and having recently seen those episodes again as an adult, I can really understand why. He knew that the imagination of his son was captured by that show. Fighting off aliens, discovering new worlds, boldly going where no one has gone before. My brother and I had no less than 3 different complete sets of the original Star Wars movies on VHS. He and I would just sit and watch nothing but Star Wars and Star Trek movies all day long. And I loved it. I was especially drawn to the character of Wesley Crusher. And when I first found out as I grew up that character was really much maligned by the fans of the show, I couldn't understand why. What could be better than being a kid on the bridge of the USS Enterprise? Some credit goes to the writers of Star Trek and the inventors of the character of Wesley Crusher for my becoming a PhD in computer science. As much as I loved Wesley Crusher as a kid, I think I like Wil Wheaton better as an adult. For example, a few months ago, Wil Wheaton said something very important. He said, "It's not what you love, it's how you love it." I think it's important not to use the love of a thing that a person has as a shorthand for the character of that person. I remember a few years ago sitting in the Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee, one of 160,000 other fans packed in around in stands around this half-mile oval, and thinking, I wonder if I'm the only PhD who's here. I don't know the answer to that question. Why does that have to be? Why in our society do we believe that some people are one way and some people are another? That there is no room for loving NASCAR and college football if you're going to love Star Wars and Star Trek and Adventure Time and anime and any of the other geeky things. When those crimson-clad young men go up to the line of scrimmage in a game-changing situation, the quarterback reaches down under the center and begins to make audible call. To me, that's the same as when Luke Skywalker is in the Death Star trench and he reaches up and he turns off his targeting computer. And when those men make an amazing play to carry the ball across the goal line, I feel exactly the same emotion as when Luke Skywalker nails that exhaust port. I'll be in Atlanta on Saturday, August 31st of this year. But I won't be at the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. I'm going because I want to be at Dragon Con. But believe me, I'll be checking the score. I'll have my lightsaber in one hand and my houndstooth hat on my head. Roll Tide and Han shot first.